Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. This is Codename Veterans. I'm with Dallas the Voice, and we are officially making our first podcast. How do you feel?
I'm happy to be here. Stoked.
All right, cool. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so for our first topic today, we're just going to go through introductions. Dallas, you want to take it and you go first?
Yeah, Dallas Poor. I'm a former Marine Corps captain, Iraqi Freedom veteran, aircraft maintenance officer by trade, Hughes and Cobras. So if you're one of the ground pounders, we may give you CAS at some point, close air support. And basically, I started this a YouTube channel to kind of try to give veterans a way to connect, and this is part of that. And we're trying some new ideas here, and it's nice to have a teammate. So I've been doing creative stuff on my own for about 20 years, and this is just another extension of that with help. So it's really nice, and I happen to like the guy. So
Excellent. That's what we all like to hear, you know. Okay, so
So what about your background?
well, I am Eli. I'm 21 years old. I'm, still sucking on my mom's tits. You know how it is. No, but in all reality, I'm active duty. I'm currently getting out in June, so I'll be transitioning back into the civilian world here real soon. I got a wife and one kid. He's about a month old. Veteran saved is a win in my book. I have lost a couple of friends due to suicide, so this hits home for me, and this is why I'm kind of hitting really heavy on this channel, is because this is a time for veterans to understand, and active duty members as well, that they're not the only ones going through it, and we can all go through it together, which helps with connection and networking, and all the good stuff. What are your visions for the future if we were to think 10 years down the road?
For this channel, for myself, what are you asking exactly?
Just like in general, like where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself helping a lot of people in 10 years. And in the process, I heal my own ways. We've all been through things in life, and I've had a kind of a year of, call it self-discovery, I guess. I'm recently divorced, and that comes into play, obviously. Not that I want to talk about that here, but you kind of have to reevaluate a lot of things when you go through something like that. I was married for my entire adult life, so this is a part of my, coming into my own and finding myself a little bit, I suppose. But one thing I figured out this past year is I love helping people and doing good in the world. If I'm not doing that, I'm not satisfied. I don't feel good about myself. So,
All right. So, what do we have coming up? Well, like, what's coming up on our agenda of Codename Veterans? What's the big picture?
I think just hitting home the point that we're all connected is my biggest thing. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a 60-year-old veteran, 80, 50, 40, whatever. We all bleed, and we all serve, and we all have whatever residuals after service. Maybe it's not even war. Maybe it's, somebody had a bad experience with their enlistment for whatever reason. They're picked on. I don't know. So this is an opportunity for us to give everybody a voice and be able to just talk about the stuff that we go through, whatever that means personally in the military. They're all kind of related. So
I'm pretty sure everyone likes to hear that, that they have a voice.
Yeah.
For those who are watching, if you want to come in on this podcast, we'd love to hear your story. Pretty sure Dallas and I would love to hear your story and work through some stuff all together. Because a big part of this channel is, healing. That can be healing through prayer, healing through meditation. If you're not the religious type, we don't. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to help you heal with whatever troubles you're going through. Going back on like the channel, right? How do you foresee this channel now versus how you want to see it?
I guess my vision for it would be that all ages are participating. I would love to get a couple of World War II veterans on here, because we're losing that opportunity quickly. So those guys are always on my mind. The Vietnam guys, they don't have a tendency to talk very much as far as their experiences over there. But one thing I've been working on in my own ways is just giving them the appreciation they didn't get when they came home the first time. because I just can't fathom as a veteran who's, combat deployed, coming home to that after going through the things that you go through in war.
Of course.
So just talking to these guys, just having a conversation with them, in my experience so far, has been, they start off pretty stoic, but as they talk and as they can tell that you genuinely care, their eyes soften, their demeanor changes. They can tell somebody really wants to hear what they have to say. They didn't have that, back in the 60s and 70s. Well, I mean, some of them did, some of them didn't. I don't want to paint that with too broad of a brush, but I think there's a lot of value in letting them talk now. Maybe they want to air some grievances, and I wouldn't blame them.
Of course. I mean, there's, it's a huge expectation when you go into combat. Not everyone's going to come back. And I mean, that can take a huge hit on you. I mean, when I deployed, we went on 31st MEU, and when we came back, one of our, close friends, he passed away. God rest his soul. But, it's hard losing a friend, I mean, he was one of my close friends. We would, we'd go down to the bars in Okinawa and we just get hammered and play pool and just have like normal people conversations. And that's, that's something that I miss nowadays. I wish I could have a beer with my friend and, talk about how my family's doing, see how his family's doing. And I got a lot of my friends who have gotten out who would love to get on this podcast as well. I'll probably hit them up and see if we can, get them in there. Even like just as a phone call, hearing their side of things and giving them a voice, definitely would be a huge impact to them. And not only, just to them, but for us as well, to understand like where we are and where we came from. And, all of us were green no matter what, even if you're, dark green Marine or you're a light green Marine, or even soldier, airman, sailor, or even Coast Guards. I'm not sure what they call them, but like we all have a name. So I think a big part of this is going to be, finding them who want to talk, and getting them on, hopefully hearing their experiences. There was, some merchandise you were selling. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, well, I've got a separate YouTube channel from this, although they're going to be kind of intertwined on some level. We're working all that out right now. But yeah, I had these shirts printed. I'm co-branded with a company called SFH. So my YouTube channel is Dallas the Voice. SFH stands for Still Fucking Here. And the company was put together by a couple of veterans that have been there, done that. I won't get into their stories, but their company is called what it is because they're both lucky to be around. So I look forward to bringing them into this. I actually owe them a podcast, so they're definitely on the list of people we need to talk to. But we co-branded a shirt for Dallas the Voice, SFH logos in the back, and the proceeds from that shirt, we kind of split the profits of it. But my side of the profits are going to go to the Coley Klug family, who is they've been through a lot medically, and we're going to talk to her in a separate podcast. So yeah. Just trying to do some good in as many different ways as we can. But yeah, for those shirts, we'll eventually post a link here and you can take a look at those.
Of course. And that will be down in the description below. Okay. So, in terms of getting, some veterans on this podcast as well, if you were to think of a timeline, right, between World War II and now of people we would, interview, what would be your preferred timeline? What I mean by timeline is like different areas in the conflicts that the U.S. has had with other countries, like Vietnam, World War II. I don't know if there's any Korean veterans around.
I talked to one last week. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Definitely getting him on this, and if they don't want to have their face on camera, then they can just audio. But giving veterans a voice is a huge goal for this channel. And you and I are working close together no matter what. So, I think definitely Dallas the Voice is, it gives Codename Veterans a brand. It gives them, gives Codename Veterans the ability to do what we're doing, and giving them a voice is, our biggest goal. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So why don't you tell us like your experiences in combat? Like, different stressors, different things you've had to go through.
Well, we were located, we were kind of spread all over Kuwait and Iraq. For me, I was stuck in Kuwait because of my job. And, we deployed with 18 Cobras and 9 Hueys, came back with 17 Cobras and 9 Hueys. Had one total loss, lost 2 friends on that aircraft. During about the course of 3 weeks for me personally, I lost 6 people that I'd served with in 3 different incidents. So that was definitely a stressor for me. You have to, most people say they lose a family member, here in the United States. There's a grieving process, there's a ceremony, there's you're surrounded by family and you take time to mourn. When you're in combat, you don't have that luxury. We pretty much pass the word, hey, this happened, and we got to keep fighting. So we all mourned in our own ways, but I think for the most part that happened very quickly, and we just went right back to work. And I think, well, I know after talking to a lot of my Marines that day still impacts a lot of us, just like we were still there, because we didn't, have time to really mourn it. We had a ceremony for them, a day or two later. But that stuff, it kind of, what's the word? Metastasize? I can never say that word. It builds up inside of you. And since I can't say the word right, but so there's the loss component of what, my experience was, which is different than everybody else's. And for me personally, I think the biggest challenge that I had as far as getting over all that was anger. And when I say anger, when I lose my friends, I want to go avenge my friends, and I wasn't able to do that. So that's just the human condition. I hope that doesn't make me sound like I'm some kind of angry psychopath or anything, because I'm not.
Oh, not at all.
But in that situation, in that you're in a combat zone, I'm actively getting shot at with missiles. There wasn't a whole lot we could do except for just not get hit. So from the standpoint of getting even, I never got to do that. And that's a blessing in and of itself. Because I know a lot of guys that they want their trigger time. They want to, do whatever you imagine war is. And a lot of us don't have a reason to do that, or don't have the ability to do that. I had the reason, I didn't have the ability because I couldn't leave where we were. So I just think being able to talk openly about these things and encouraging others to do the same is really important, because otherwise it doesn't get talked about, and it does metastasize. I said it, I got it. It'll keep building if you don't, have a pressure relief valve by way of talking to other veterans, or maybe writing, or I ride motorcycles and I write. You just got to have an outlet. And I think talking to other veterans is one very important outlet that's not done enough. I thank the Marine Corps very often, because I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just know I want to do something important, and meaningful that I can tell my kids about someday. So coming out to California from Iowa, ending up here long term was a pretty good move. So I feel very blessed to be here, and the Marine Corps brought me here. So thank you, Marine Corps.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that's a wrap for our first episode.